Hey Disney fam, welcome back to Caitlin's Disney Adventures. Maybe you're looking at my shirt or this Lego battleship that I have, but you guessed it. Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars at Disney's Hollywood Studios. We've been on Star Tours before. We have been on Millennium Falcon, Smugglers Run before. At least I have. My dad hadn't been. We'd been on it in Disneyland, my brother and I. But we have not been on Rise of the Resistance, which is a very new ride at both parks. So today we're going to be talking about all three, as well as Galaxy's Edge and the shop that is outside of Star Tours, which is mostly what is Star Wars at Hollywood Studios. So let's jump right in. I've been to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland. My brother and I went back in September of 2019. Even after being there and now being at Hollywood Studios, I've come to the conclusion that Hollywood Studios is better. It's bigger. There's more space for pictures. Everything is open, from the stores to the food to the attractions to most of the characters are being back. That's the biggest thing that COVID has affected. There's not as much interaction because they don't want you touching and being really close to people. But I would say the experience is still about an 8 out of 10, especially if you are a huge Star Wars fan. The new Star Cruiser that's going to be added next year, assumedly, is just going to plus the experience even more. People who are obsessed with Star Wars are going to love it and want to go on that cruise thing that they're calling it. There are a couple cons to Hollywood Studios that I noticed while we were there. It feels hotter than Disneyland. That could have been because of the times we were there. We were there way in the morning for Smugglers Run, and then we were there a little later when it was hot, around 2:30 for Rise of the Resistance, and it felt like deathly hot. It's really hot over by the Muppets entrance to Galaxy's Edge. But it just felt hotter overall too as we were walking out. I think we went out through Toy Story Land to go get dinner, but it just was hot, and I felt like there wasn't as much character interaction as I mentioned before, but that could be due to COVID as well. Black Spire Outpost had an insanely long virtual queue, and I actually didn't know about the queue until we got there. So we missed out on that. That wasn't communicated as well as the Rise of the Resistance queue. Docking Bay 7 lunch mobile order filled up, which I was really sad about. I wanted to take my dad there. So if you want to get in that, you have to get on it and know what you're going to eat. Probably when you get into the park, I would say. Maybe 10 o'clock, but we tried to get our reservations at 11 o'clock. Gone. We couldn't eat until like 2 o'clock, and we're like, no, we are hungry. So don't wait to do that. But also, you have to pay for a lot of the experiences. You have to pay an insane amount to get a droid, now an extremely high amount to get a lightsaber if you want to have all the customizations to it, and it just doesn't seem as fun if you're going to be paying a fortune to go there, especially like me if you are just a casual fan. You like the movies, you like some of the characters. I'm into more some of the animated shows now, and they don't do a ton of that in the parks yet, like Ahsoka and Bad Batch and Clone Wars. It's not, I don't like the sequels, sorry if that offends anybody, but it just doesn't feel like it's getting all of the Star Wars potential as it could. So those are the cons for me. Let's talk about Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run. So I was a pilot and my dad was a gunner, and he had not been on the ride, so he pretty much loved the queue. He was looking at all the details, taking pictures. He took one of those pictures of the Millennium Falcon, and he took most of those pictures, but he was taking pictures of us in the queue, and he really enjoyed the experience. He loved seeing me as the pilot and getting to do all that and take all the pictures. So he had a good time. I think that it can get really busy in the afternoon if you don't get on the ride as soon as you can, because people are either going to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway or Slinky Dog Dash. They feel like they can get Star Wars out of the way later in the afternoon, which makes it hard to get on. So I would do it right after Slinky Dog Dash if you can. We walked on the ride. We waited maybe 5 minutes, but we just kept going through that queue. And it's gonna get really slow too as the crowds start to pick up, because there's no fast pass and there's no single rider line. So time it in your day pretty well. Time it in your day so that you're not missing out on it, because it can get crowded later on. Okay, Star Tours hurts me a little bit because I have loved Star Tours for years, and I'm so sad because it's slowly sliding down my list of my favorite rides at Hollywood Studios. They go to the same places every time, guys. It's the 3 sequel movies, and as I said before, not a huge fan. So I want it, it's just getting boring, especially for the people who have done it many, many times, because it's been around for so long. I feel like they need to bring some of that back. I know, I get that you're trying to be consistent with Galaxy's Edge, but it's not it's not as exciting for some of us. So Disney needs to mix it up and bring some of those older clips back and give us different experiences instead of the same things over and over and over, especially if you're a regular Disney park person like myself.
No visit is complete without having a drink at Tatooine's infamous Mos Eisley Cantina, where you will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
So we got waters right before we got on Rise of the Resistance, and we didn't see this in Disneyland, so I thought it was cool. We saw the little soda cart being moved that was controlled by the R2-D2 look-alike. Not sure what his name was. He was just red. He was a red R2-D2. But that was the most immersive thing I saw. We weren't in the land a ton, so I can't judge for if you were back there all the time, but we didn't get a ton of character interaction, so that was really cool for me to see that and get it on video. But right before we got called, we were hanging out, getting waters, just seeing what was there, figuring out what souvenirs we needed to get, and then we got called. So we were group 84, and we got the text at 2:30 p.m. They told us we were gonna wait probably 6 hours when we got our text when I got into our boarding room at 7 a.m. So we waited 6 hours. That was pretty accurate. And we only waited about 5 minutes before getting on the ride. You just had to wait in the hot sun a little bit, give your confirmation on your phone to your cast member in front of the ride, scan your magic band, and head on in. It was simple.
Here we go! Rise of the Resistance! Let's do it!
I would say that Rise of the Resistance is the most immersive ride in Hollywood Studios. I'll make that clear in a second. It uses the trackless ride system, like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Remy's Ratatouille Adventures, which is Le Aventure de Remy or something like that in Disneyland Paris, which I rode twice and loved. I would rank Rise of the Resistance below Remy because I absolutely adore Ratatouille. I love the characterization that they give all of them in Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, and the story just blows amazingly. Rise of the Resistance, there was some dips. I felt a little confused at points, but it's a great ride if you absolutely love the sequels, you absolutely love being in a Star Wars story. They put you in the story. They made that up, and My dad thought it was slow in the beginning, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting some context, and it just made you feel like I'm stopping the First Order. I'm in this little car. I don't want to spoil it a ton, but you're like in this car with your droid driving around. So cool. So cool. It's an incredible experience for a diehard Disney fan, but just being a diehard Star Wars fan, but just being a casual fan, I would rank Remy's Ratatouille Adventure above Rise of the Resistance, and then Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway third below that.
Incoming transmission from Ray. BB-8, is everyone assembled? Good. Shouldn't you be in flight prep? Recruits, thank you for joining the calls.
The stores in both Galaxy's Edge and right outside of Star Tours kind of disappointed us. Like Star Tours a couple years ago, Tatooine Traders right outside of it was better. It has gotten progressively worse over the years. The selection of merchandise has become smaller, more consolidated, because there's much more unique things in Galaxy's Edge. Black Spire Outpost, I'm sure. But it just felt dated. It feels dated in there. And there used to be a place where you could take your own picture with your family and put your face into not a cardboard, like a picture frame cutout. But they've taken that away, and now it's the old lightsaber building things. It's not as cool as the ones you build in Galaxy's Edge. They're the old ones from years past, plus the tiny little droids that you can build and put in your separated plastic containers there, which I've done, and I didn't feel like I needed to be in that store much longer. We looked in there for 2 minutes and walked out, which is kind of sad, because when we got over to Galaxy's Edge, we couldn't get into Black Spire Outpost because I didn't know about the virtual queue. So we were almost ready to leave the park by that point. We had walked back in there just to go through Black Spire Outpost, and they said it's gonna be up to 3-hour wait. So we're like, no. Oops, we should have gotten in the queue when we went over to Smugglers Run, but I didn't know about it. Disney needs to do a better advertising that, in my opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed this video about all things Star Wars at Disney's Hollywood Studios, from Galaxy's Edge to Star Tours over in the other side of the park, right before you enter as you go by Muppets. So let me know if you have any questions about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Star Tours, or even the stores at Disney Springs. There are 2 stores that I didn't really talk about, but we didn't go in either one, and they were pretty similar to the Tatooine Traders area. So let me know if you have any other questions or comments about that. Stay tuned for next week's video. We're going to be talking about the 5 restaurants that we got advanced dining reservations for, and I will rank them. I will tell you all about the food we had and whether I would go back or not. So tune in next week for that video, and stay up to date with my Caitlin's Disney Adventures Instagram for more content, for Magic Mail, for polls and quizzes and fun stuff. So let me know how I'm doing over there. Have a great week. Adventure is out there. I will see you soon, Disney fam.